I want to say good night to all of us. A very special good night to the people of St. Michael West. From the extreme end this way at Hinesbury Road to the extreme end this way at Spring Garden and all in between. Let me also thank you for your voting support in the last election of 2013. For in St. Michael West in the last election, you voted for me here in this Richmond area in greater numbers even than you did in 2008. And in fact, that story was repeated in many of the polling districts in this constituency. How at the end of the day we lost in St. Michael West is still a mystery to you. It is not a mystery to me. And tonight, in the time that I have, I want to talk to us a little bit about some of the core principles and precepts that accompany the making of a healthy democracy. These public meetings, some people would want to believe, are simply about talking people's name. You and I know better than that. And from this platform, we seek to enlighten you, to better inform you. We do not come here to slander or to drag people's names in the mud. And certainly, I am not a part of that. And one of the core principles of a healthy and maturing democracy is the precept of public trust. And you and I must make our representatives to know that when they function in our name. When they serve our cause. And as such, the issue of public trust becomes of paramount importance. Some would have us to believe that when you serve in public life, you can divorce your private life activity from your public image and the public level of accountability which is required at your hand. I do not believe that this is so. This is a debate in political life that is as old as politics itself. Where do you draw the line between public functionaries serving in the name and cause of the people with respect to their public doings and their private deeds or misdeeds? I say to us tonight that if there is a line, it is but at best an imaginary line, because there can be no line. Even your private capacity, activity has the potential to compromise your public office and your performance in public office. It is not a matter of what I do in private being separated from what I do in public. The two are inseparably linked. I wonder perhaps if you have ever heard the story of Bobby. Bobby was 7 years old. Bobby's mother, as she would usually do on Saturday afternoons, picked him up around 4 in the afternoon from a period of play in the public park with his kids' pack, his kids' team. On this particular afternoon, Bobby's mother, as he exited the car at the house, noticed a red sliver at the back of his pants. On entering the house and derobing him, undressing him to get a shower and to refresh himself, she noticed a red stain at the back of his underwear. Nervously, she pulled the underwear down, only to be confronted with the ghastly sight of a swollen, bruised buttocks. A swollen, bruised, and bloody buttocks. A worried mother was in stitches as to what had befallen her tender son, her son of tender years. To cut a long story short, investigations revealed that a male adult who happened to be present in the park at the time had assaulted her innocent boy child. Problems with evidence gathering resulted in that male adult not having to face a charge at the court for sexually assaulting a boy. But investigations also revealed that it seemed that this was not the first act of sexual assault on a minor, a child, perpetrated by this male adult. It was revealed that he had done this before. In fact, what came out of the investigation was that he was a pedophile. It happened to be that this male adult was the principal of a little boys' school, which was not Bobby's school. And it is his public office of principal of a little boys' school. There was nothing to be held against him. But here it was, in his private capacity in a park, where he was wont to go from time to time just to help little boys to learn the skills of games, he was molesting little boys. Needless to say, although there was no conviction, although there was no criminal charge, he lost his job. His public post in a public primary school was lost as a result of an offense which he committed in his private capacity on a dark Saturday afternoon against a 7-year-old boy in a play park. You cannot separate, when you are in public life, your private misdeeds done in the dark, because when they come to light, the issue of public trust becomes paramount. And that was the story of the case of the unfortunate 7-year-old boy called Bobby. Do you believe that Scotiabank here in Barbados, before they close down entirely, are likely to hire a manager who has questions around his handling of financially related issues even away from the job? Do you believe if they had hired a manager in such a capacity and they had come to discover that he was engaged in questionable financial issues away from the job, that he would be retained for long as manager of that institution? Absolutely not, because there's an issue of public trust. The public must trust the institution, and the public must trust the functionaries of the institution. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the underlying point I am trying to make is this. If in Barbados we want to continue to grow a healthy democracy, the issue of public trust must come to the front burner. And you and I must make our representatives know that they function in our name, in our service, and for our cause. And that must be made absolutely clear. If and when you become manager of a peanut farm, and you're owner of a peanut farm, and you find that the manager of your newly acquired peanut farm is a monkey, you better fire him. If and when you become the owner of a banana plantation, and you happen to find out that the manager is a monkey, you better fire him, because he is possessed of endemic instincts towards peanuts and bananas. Public trust is a highly important issue. Those who serve our cause. Those who serve in our name. And as such, they must be held to high standards of accountability. Because not only upon us as public officials is bestowed a higher privilege and a higher honor, but coming with that concomitantly is a higher level of accountability and a requisite higher level of standard in conduct. And our representatives must be made to understand that when they serve, this is the context in which they must serve, because they are serving in our name, and publicly so. I was privy to a discussion among some very serious men of high responsibility in this country from all across this country recently. And they were concerned seriously about systemic dysfunctionality in Barbados. They were concerned that our systems are breaking down. that our systems are not functioning. And because of this, they highlighted several challenges which we face. One of which is very, very well familiar to us. You know, and I know, that several of us who live here and others who now live overseas but who have an interest here have tremendous problems with attorneys in this country. You know that, and I know that. And as I spoke with them, this is a concern that emptied forth from their stomach, and they expressed it with passion. It takes too long when your matter is in the hands of the lawyers for it to come to a conclusion which is satisfactory to you. It takes too long when lawyers get their hands on your money for that money to be turned over to you. That is essentially what they were saying and expressing as a concern. This is a problem that seems to be too pervasive in Barbados. And unless the people of Barbados get up and hold the Bar Association to a higher level of responsibility and accountability, this issue will continue. Unless we demand our just deserts at the hands of attorneys, this problem will continue. You see, it is a matter of public trust and public confidence in systems which we expect to work. When the systems dysfunction, justice is often delayed. Often beyond delay, justice is denied. We are now at a place in Barbados with it is trending in this direction because people are on remand too long about dogs before they can have their day in court. Fellows from Richmond and people from Vietnam and people from all across St. Michael, poor people who need to have their day in court so the guilty may be released to their lives. And of course, the innocent may be released to their lives, and those who are guilty pay for their crimes. We cannot have a situation where the systems don't function. When that happens, the poor are excluded. The poor are left out. The poor are marginalized. The rich get away with murder, and bigots go unbothered by the law. When that happens, the systems are totally breaking down. And that seems to be where we're trending in Barbados, where the rich can get away with murder and bigots can go unbothered by the law, and the small man can't have his day in court. And they were concerned. They were concerned about systemic dysfunctionality in Barbados. I need to tell you that beyond systemic dysfunctionality, to me there's a business of institutional disintegration or degradation, institutional discredit no less. It is not only a matter of systems not functioning. We are faced today in Barbados with a trend where institutions are falling apart. And we've got to wake up and realize what is happening around us. Developing a nation is not only about institutional capacity, it is also about institutional integrity. And when the integrity of the systems are called into question, when the integrity of the system is discredited, then a country is in trouble. Not only democracy is in trouble, but the country is in trouble. That's what we're saying here tonight. These institutions are set up in our name to serve our cause, with public functionaries managing and operating these institutions, and we cannot allow those who function in our name, who serve in our cause, to bring our institutions to a place of discredit. But that is exactly what is happening in Barbados today. Trevor's already spoken tonight about the labor organizations in organized labor in Barbados. Organized labor in Barbados has performed so miserably over the last several years that the workers in this country, both public sector and private sector, are left in a very hapless situation, bereft of hope. And that is a tragedy. That is a tragedy. We can't posture and pump a set. People's pains are real, and people who rely on us in an institutional context to defend their cause and interests must be made to have confidence in those institutions. And and organized labor is failing the workers in Barbados. I have to admit that the church, by its complicit silence, has brought the issue of morality into question and into doubt. What is moral now and what is immoral now? And it seems that everything is amoral. So you can do what you like in private life, you can do what you like in public life, and the church, by complicit silence, leaves us to question, where is our sense of morality as a nation? And where are we trending as a people when it comes to the business of right and the business of wrong? Where are we? We have a central bank now which is clearly demonstrating a kind of a political mindset with respect to its thinking. I do not think that ever in the history of this country we have seen a central bank seemingly be so complicit, hand in hand with the government of the day, that we can't get a straight story from one day to the next. In fact, rather than get a straight story from one day to the next, we are not getting any stories anymore. They don't speak to us anymore. They speak at us these days. And that's the reality that we've got to check, because it points to the fact that key institutions in this country are disintegrating and coming to a state of discredit. And when that happens, not only is democracy in peril, but the whole process of nation building is imperiled and endangered. Listen, we have seen when it comes to law and order now, and even our justice system, read the courts, a situation of compromise and stalling. Even the lawyers are complaining. The lawyers are complaining. The system does not seem to work anymore. The system is choked. The system is stalled. Law enforcement in this country is brought into public controversy and political controversy because of what we see happening before us today, where proper procedures are followed and men are named for appointment, but then comes another stream of thought from another source, driven by a different impulse, largely political. We can't have them, let us have them, and the matter must go to court, and the courts don't work too fast, so we can have no settlement, and we lose our confidence in our law enforcement agencies and our court system. Institutional discredit and degradation. We have a reality today before us. We are faced with cabinet chaos. One day Minister X says this, the next day Minister Y says that. One day Minister Y says who, next day Minister what? That's right. Cabinet chaos. How can we exist and go forward meaningfully with a sense of sure direction if the cabinet itself does not know where it is going among themselves? But as a situation we face, it is a harsh reality. I have never seen such chaos emanating from a bunch of allegedly educated persons as in this day with this cabinet of Barbados. I am sure that this kind of chaos could never have emanated from a cabinet led by Owen Arthur. I am sure that this kind of chaos will never emanate from a cabinet led by Mia Motley. Because the Barbados Labour Party don't operate so. We understand the importance, the critical importance of institutions. The cabinet functions in the name of the country, and therefore this kind of chaos is unbecoming. Totally unbecoming. We have a serious issue, government credibility challenge. You cannot believe from one day to the next what the government is saying. We have heard so many stories about a hospital and 2 hospitals and 3 hospitals. We have heard so many changing stories about 4 seasons and 5 seasons and 2 seasons and 3 seasons and all seasons and no seasons at all. And the nonsense continues. But that happens when a government is in chaos at the level of the cabinet. And when the credibility is so questioned that we can't believe a word they say. And now we've got to face the mess of almost parliamentary paralysis and puerility. They behave like boys. And this parliament is becoming dysfunctional. And the people of Barbados need to understand that we elected this parliament, and if it becomes dysfunctional, we have the power in our hands to make the necessary change. Because our institutions cannot allow to disintegrate to the point where democracy is stalled and our future is jeopardized. But I tell you, it gets worse. Because systemic dysfunction is bad. And institutional disintegration or degradation is worse. But dare you understand that beyond institutional degradation, there waits the soon peril of institutional irrelevance. And when fellas on the street begin to think that the institutions are irrelevant, it means that they care not anymore about law or lawmakers. It means that they no longer care about policy or policymakers. It means that they care nothing about our national symbols. When this happens, a society is not only in peril, a society has come to a bad state of affairs. And our institutions are becoming, go down the street, ask any of these youngsters that you will meet, how relevant is Parliament? How relevant is Cabinet? How relevant is the justice system? How relevant is law enforcement? Ask anybody. What you will see emerging is a sense of marginalization, a sense of cynicism, a sense of alienation, because people, not only working class, but educated, middle class, and upper class people in this country are losing confidence in the relevance of our institutions. And that's a seriously bad thing. You ask yourself the question, how did Barbados get to this stage when those we elect know that we've elected them to serve in our name? They need to understand that the nonsense which now obtains at the private level, the nonsense which now obtains at the public office level, the nonsense which now obtains at the institutional level, they can no longer do. No, not in our name. And you need loudly to shout, no, no more, not in our name. You were not chosen for that. You were not elected for that. We didn't establish this institution for that. You are not called to that. That is not our purpose, our ambition, our goal, our dream. It does not bring any benefit to us. No, halt, not in our name. Let me tell you very quickly. Let me tell you very quickly. I served this constituency between 1999 and 2008. I served this constituency. Just going to tell you a couple of things. I want to tell you, I have a lot of precious memories. One is a 7-year-old boy not too far from here, who said to me one day as I visited his house, in fact his mother said this to me, that a little boy said, when I grow up, I want to be like him. Not because he's a politician, but because he is a preacher. And I remember that, and it will live long with me. I have other precious memories. Indelibly etched in my memory is a warm Saturday morning. I think it was in June, and I don't quite remember the year, but I can remember the exact location. And I went into this house, and I was confronted with a situation of dilapidation, poor living conditions in a chattel house in Upper Goodland. And I went next door to the other house, and the same situation confronted me, only in a worse way with respect to the flooring. And you know what these two houses had in common, apart from their poverty and their poor situation? Both homes were occupied by wheelchair-bound seniors. Both houses were occupied by wheelchair-bound senior people. And those were the heyday of the Urban Development Corporation. And that was the time in Barbados when in St. Michael West, Urban did more housing for poor people than I believe anywhere else in this country. You know that for a fact, David. And I'm telling you, we got almost 70 houses built between 1999 and 2003 in this constituency through the Urban Development Corporation for Poor People. And when I was confronted with these two wheelchair-bound seniors and these poor housing conditions, I mean, the flooring in one of these houses, the wheelchair could not properly go over unless ultimately at some point it would go through. And I moved to the urban to get 2 houses built for these 2 wheelchair-bound elderly people. And at urban, they put up some resistance and made some objections. And they said to me, but Reverend, you get a lot of houses done in St. Michael West already. Somebody has got to get some, and that is a truth. But that can't stop me from pressing because I was serving in their name. It does not matter to me what David Gill is asking for up in South Central. It does not matter to me what Sandra is asking for down in St. James South. What matters to me is that I serve in the name of the people of St. Michael West, wheelchair-bound elderly people in Upper Gulland, and I must press their cause. And so O'Brien Trotman said to me, Rev, you can't get 2. I'm going to give you 1. And I said, I can't settle for 1 because there are 2 cases, and they're right side by side. The long and short of all of this, in spite of all the objections about cost and money and what I had done before and all of that, we got the 2 houses built for those people, and they're still in Upper Goodland today. I can carry you there tonight and point to them. Because wheelchair-bound people matter too. Wheelchair-bound people and their interests matter too. They too have their rights, and in their name I serve as well. I get a tremendous sense of satisfaction when I come in through the airport, or pass through the customs, or go into a public office, or even in some private places of business, even looking down the street now, and I see people for whom I was able to help get a job. And that gives me a sense of satisfaction to know that when I serve, I truly serve in these people's name and for their interests. And I have to come into the airport, and I have to go to an immigration desk, and I have to wait my turn, and I have to be made to come through, and then through the customs, and I'm seeing there somebody I helped to get work when they did not have a job. You know what this means to me? It's the business, the enterprise of moving people away from welfare to well-being. I remember now a family, both husband and wife not working and children in peril. And the wife was on the brink of suicide. I tell you this, and that's not the only instance. And they came, and happily with the help of the Lord and the help of the good government of the Barbados Labour Party, I was able to get a job for the husband. Those 2 people are standing proud tonight. And their children are doing well. You see, you have to move people from, you know what this present government is doing? They aren't moving people from welfare to well-being. They are taking people off the welfare list. You walk right across this country. You walk right across this constituency, and you will encounter people whose names are unceremoniously dumped off the welfare list without warning, without reference to this situation. That's what this government is doing. It gives me a tremendous sense of satisfaction to see people whom have assisted with educational opportunity in the private sector as well as in the public sector. People who were able to get started at the secondary level or post-secondary level, at graduate level, and even I can think of 2 or 3 at postgraduate level who were able to get assistance financially through my efforts while I served the people of this country because I served in their name. Today you can't even get a bursary to go up Cave Hill. That's what we have come to. All across St. Michael West, there are urban land tenantries. Urban land tenantries from right up Hinesbury Road, right down to Paris Gap and Westbury Road. Large land tenantries. St. Michael West possesses the most urban tenantries in Barbados, and some of the biggest ones down Westbury New Road and Paris Gap and up in Garden Land. Enough people who live for long years on tenanted land. Garden Land. And I thank God, and I thank the government of today, with whom I serve, but in the people's name, that we were able to bring people to a place of empowerment and bring them into a sense of ownership of property. You see, when you serve in the people's names, it is about empowering them by bringing them into ownership of property. It is not about holding on to people's property or taking away people's property. We serve in the name of the people. We serve in their name. We serve for their cause. When they come with their shenanigans, when they come with their misconduct, when they come with their ill-advised programs, we need to say, no sir, not in our name. We did not elect you or chose you or send you to Parliament to do that. No sir, not in our name. When you take people's name, poor people's name, off the welfare list, no sir, not in our name. When you refuse to give aspiring young Barbadians the opportunity of a tertiary level education and lead them to live a life of frustration and stunted dreams, you say, no sir, not in our name. We didn't elect you for that. We have just started up at Bank Hall some while ago a program of education. We're giving people the opportunity to do CXC subjects in 7 different areas on the Better Life College and the School of Politics and Governance. If you have not heard about that yet, pass Bank Hall and check us out. And there are over 100 young people who are benefiting from training in education, academics, in skills training, as well as professional and business-related courses. Over 100. And it don't only come from Richmond, and it only come from St. Michael West, but it come from Christchurch. And they come from St. Peter, and they come from St. John, and they come from all around this place. But we are pleased to be able to give them the opportunity. And government does not pay for the building. Somebody told me the other day, I thought the government was paying for this building. No, the only way the government is paying for this building is if the government is named Joseph Atherley. And we have to pull our pockets, me and associates of mine. And we have to depend upon the generosity of some kind community business people and some other larger interests beyond our community to help with this program. And we have tremendous people of goodwill who come and offer their teaching services and don't ask for a cent to teach these people. Because we believe that they've internalized the value that we need to serve in the name of the people, and because we have benefited at the pockets of the people, it is our bounden duty to give back something to the people. Do you know what Noah Lynch? Do you know what Mark Williams? Do you know what Sandra Husbands? Lord, I shouldn't have started down this road. I'm going to forget somebody. Do you know what Blaine Murray? Do you know what Indar Weir? Do you know what Lynette Eastman? All of these people, I hope I forgot nobody. You know what all of these people have in common? They all were made to exit from public office between 6 and 10 years ago. Between 6 and 10 years ago, they were forced by choice of people to exit from public office. Almost a decade now. You know what they have in common? Not only that they were made to exit from public office, but they're all committed to or involved in that very same program that I'm talking to you about, and they do it without a cent, and they do it without shouting, because what they're saying to me and saying to the rest of us is that we recognize we have a responsibility to serve in the name and the interest of Barbadian people, because it is Barbados which has made us. Come in. And so that's what they are doing. And I have to stop, else I will get in trouble. I'm not a member of the parliamentary team, and I'm honored to be able to be given the opportunity to speak among all these parliamentarians here tonight. But I hope that you good people in St. Michael West will change all of that when the time comes. I want to commit to you that I will not, I am sure the Barbados Labour Party will not, devalue our institutions or discredit our institutions or so deprive our systems of what they need for proper functioning that we betray the public trust which you have reposed and will repose in us again shortly. We make that commitment to you that we will do nothing to dishonor your name because we serve at your pleasure and in your name. I am sure that not only I believe that, and I feel it with a strong and sustained passion, but all others who serve under the banner of the Barbados Labour Party, those who follow me remotely right now, I am sure that they serve with the same internalized value, that we serve at your pleasure and we serve in your name. And because of this, we commit not to breach the public trust or to destroy public confidence in us as a people, as a party. I pray God's blessings upon you.